What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. And today we're going to take a look at the Power of the Force 2 line of figures that came out between 1995 and about 2000-ish. And there were a few eBay sales here recently that I'm going to show you. But mainly I wanted to talk about some of the first shot prototypes that are out there. So at the end of this video, I did put together kind of a gallery of some really interesting prototypes that are on Facebook. And if you're looking to add some of these to your collection, there's a great group called Prototype Exchange, where a lot of these do change hands away from eBay. Most of the stuff on eBay is like the Bantha or the Rancor or some of the boxed vehicles. So I don't want to go through those because those are pretty common and the price points haven't really changed that much. But I did find a few that we're going to go through, mainly some autographed items and things like that. But stick around for the end of the video because I got some really awesome prototypes. It's really just to show you the type of stuff that's out there. Some of them were for sale on Facebook. Some of them are just to show them off, but I thought they were kind of cool, and I wanted to kind of show you guys those. Let's go ahead first and go through the items on eBay. The first one is a red card Han Solo in his Hoth gear, but on the back of the card, it was signed by Harrison Ford. And it was already authenticated by Beckett Authentication Services. There's several different autograph verification services that are out there, like Beckett or James Spence Authentication. PSA is another one, and they add little stickers on the bottoms of the cards to let you know that it's been authenticated by one of their autograph experts. So unfortunately, this one was signed on the back of the card. So when you display it from the front, it doesn't really look like much. This is like a $5 card. But, you know, Harrison Ford does not sign a lot of items, and his autographs have gotten very, very pricey just because he limits the number that he signs. So here it is. It's signed on the back, and it was listed for $1,500, and the best offer that was accepted on it was $1,200. So very, very pricey, even with all the edge wear to the card and things like that. Just getting his autograph on anything is really, really tough. So that was kind of a cool item. Some other autographs. Here was a Dave Prowse signed red card Darth Vader, really clean condition. That one was only $80, $80 free shipping. So a little bit surprised that these have dropped that much, because for a while there, maybe right after Dave Prowse's passing, these were going for $100 to $250 as much as that. But this one sold for $80. He was a pretty prolific signer, so very easy to find a Dave Prowse signed Power of the Force 2 card. Billy D. Williams is another one that makes the rounds to conventions pretty regularly. Here was a freeze frame action slide, General Lando, for the Power of the Force 2 line. That one sold for $75 plus $10 shipping. So another very easy one to pick up. This one does have a little authentication sticker in the bottom left there. Next up, we've got Tim Rose, who voiced Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. So that's kind of cool to get a remark as well as his autograph on the freeze frame action slide for Admiral Akbar. That one was only $90. He's another autograph that's fairly easy to dig up. Kenny Baker, who obviously played R2-D2. This was a red card, and that one sold for $100 plus $4 shipping. A lot of these, again, are very common. It's very easy to collect autographed Power of the Force 2 items, just because the card backs themselves are not particularly expensive for most of them. And so a lot of collectors will take these into conventions, at least when a lot of these actors were alive, and get them signed. So you can pick up these pretty regularly on eBay. Jeremy Bullock is another one that's kind of dropped in price a lot, which is surprising, just given that he played Boba Fett. But this one was a red card Boba Fett with a beautiful signature in the upper left-hand corner in gold ink. That one was listed for $100, and it sold for $90 plus $8 shipping. So pretty great price on that one, and a lot less than what it used to go for. Here was another one, same example, red card. This one was one of 500 that he sold in a particular autograph signing. So he was a pretty prolific signer. That one sold for $150 plus $12 shipping. So when possible, try to look for auctions on these, because you can probably pick it up for closer to that $90 price point versus this one that sold for $150. This one is another one that is tough to find, because Mark Hamill has sort of gone the route of Harrison Ford and is not signing many items. This one was unfortunately signed on the blister, so the autograph does not show up very well. But this was a freeze frame action slide Luke Bespin, and that one sold for $300. Here was another one that was a THX card, and this one I believe was the Let's see here. This one was the Japanese THX release card for the Luke Farm Boy. And this one was nicer because it has Mark Hamill's autograph in the upper left-hand corner, which is a great spot to sign it so you can see the autograph more clearly. That one sold for $400 plus $30 shipping. This was over in Thailand. Next up, we've got one of the rarest of the retail releases for the freeze frame action slides, and that's Weequay on the US card. The US card freeze frame action slide is very, very pricey. There were not many of these produced. This seller had 3 of them, and all 3 of them did sell for $300 free shipping. So if you're looking to kind of add some of the more rare production figures, this is definitely one of the rarest, and that's the freeze frame action slide US card. So there is also a Canadian example of the freeze frame action slide. That usually goes for $150 to $250. I'd say closer to $200 would be a good average for that one. But the US card is the highly desirable one because it's very, very rare to find. Next up was an AFA uncirculated 85 red card Princess Leia. And I was surprised that this one sold so high because this one is not a rare one at all. This is a pretty common item, but it was an uncirculated designation, so somebody did send in a sealed case of these red cards, and that one did sell for $172.50. So that's a pretty high price for, admittedly, a high grade, but a fairly common figure. Next up was an uncirculated, no, sorry, this was a regular 8.0 grade. It was not uncirculated designation, but this is the brown vest Luke Jedi, and this one's a little tougher to find, and it wasn't a particularly high grade, but it was listed for $175. The best offer on that one that was accepted was $120. So again, not particularly rare, but maybe a little more rare than some of the other common ones out there. Next up is a very tough one to find. That's the Retooled Shadows Darth Vader. This one was an ungraded example. These were only available, I believe, at JCPenney. JCPenney took some of these from the multi-pack that had Prince Zizor and Darth Vader in a 2-pack, and they took some of these, or at least Hasbro took some of those figures, repacked them on single cards, and then I think that they were only available at JCPenney, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, you can tell it's the Retooled Shadows because the cape kind of flares out underneath the lightsaber. So this is a pretty rare one, and it's usually pretty expensive, although it's come back down in price a little bit. This one, again, was ungraded, but in very clean condition. It was listed for $150. It sold for $128. And then here was a graded example that was an absolute steal. It was an AFA 85 example of the Retooled Shadows. So again, you can see the flare down there on the cape, and then on the label there by AFA, it says Darth Vader Retooled Shadows, graded AFA 85, straight 85s for the subscores on that one. And it was only $100 plus $10.25 shipping. That one just sold here fairly recently. So that was a really good buy. I had an AFA 85 plus that I think I sold for around $175 when I was clearing out some of my Power of the Force 2 graded items. But that one, that was an AFA 85 for $100 plus $10 shipping, was a really great buy. Finally, before we dig into some of the Facebook items, this is a pre-production proof card for Luke Skywalker with the Comtech chip. So these were probably the very end of the Power of the Force 2 line, where they added in kind of an electronic chip that you could press, and it would like play sounds and voices that were kind of recreated from the movie. So they were not the actual actors, I don't think. They were just kind of like voice actors to mimic the actual actors. So in this case, this is just the proof card, and it was graded by CAS 95. So Luke Skywalker with Comtech chip. This one came out in 1999, and again, it was a proof card graded CAS 95, and that one sold over in the UK for 125 pounds, which is 160 US dollars. So given that it costs about $150 to grade one of these, CAS charges a lot more for these proof cards. So that was a really good buy on that one. Now I wanted to show you some of the different prototypes that are out there on Prototype Exchange. All I did for these was do a search for POTF2, and I just wanted to pull up some of these that sold. Most of these are fairly recent, but some of these do date back a long time ago. So just keep that in mind, is that maybe the prices are not quite up to date versus where they sell for now. Most prototypes, first shot prototypes from the Power of the Force 2 line, sell for between $200 and $350, but a lot of the more popular characters like Boba Fett or Luke Farm Boy or Stormtroopers or things like that, they can be very, very expensive. So this one was Ishii Tib. It was a prototype, unpainted. This one does have the Kenner date stamp, and that one sold for $200. So that's a really cool one there. Next up was a paint sample engineering prototype in a tape-sealed factory bag for the Leia Endor, Leia Ewok Celebration outfit from 1997. This was a great deal. It sold for $150 plus shipping, and usually Leia prototypes sell for a lot more money. There was an unpainted example like this, unpainted first shot prototype that sold in an auction on eBay last year for over $1,100. I don't remember the exact number. It might have been $1,200. So $150 for a paint sample prototype, still in the factory bag. I thought that was a really great buy. Next up is one that did not sell, but it was available for sale. And this is a Boba Fett deluxe figure with the wing blast. It's kind of like one of those deluxe big items. And you can see it's an unpainted prototype with all of the accessories. And this seller was asking $1,350 for it, but it did not sell. Test shot prototype unpainted. Next up, I've got just a lineup here of some of the different items that have been shown. Again, Prototype Exchange is a community for modern prototypes, even, vintage prototypes, but mainly modern prototypes. And a lot of collectors just show off their collections, and that was the case for this one. So you can see some of the different examples there. We got some of the expanded universe figures there. This one looks, I can't tell who that is. It looks like a Luke, or it could be like a Hoth, a Hoth soldier. I can't really tell. This one looks like Mara Jade, and I have no idea who that is. But again, just kind of some cool photos that I wanted to show you. There was also a 12-inch line for the Power of the Force 2 line, and this guy has the complete first shot prototype. Look how cool that looks in all the non-production colors, as well as some of the wax heads and first shot heads that he has collected over the years. So a lot of people put together these runs for certain characters, and that is the 12-inch Boba Fett from the Power of the Force 2 line. This seller had a number of different first shot prototypes that were available. Some of them were Power of the Force 2. Some of them were a little bit later prototypes like the Power of the Jedi line. So just kind of interesting items there. But the values range from $60 all the way up to $300. It just depends on what you're looking for. There's a unpainted prototype of Jabba the Hutt, so that's kind of cool. Next up was a Power of the Force 2 line of Bosks. This included an unpainted first shot prototype complete, along with some prototype heads and torso pieces, things like that. These sold a while ago for $250 shipped for that whole batch. So you'd have an instant collection of Power of the Force 2 Bosks with that set. Next up is another Power of the Force 2 12-inch line, Tusken Raider. This is a first shot prototype along with a couple of heads there. So pretty cool items that somebody has added to their collection. Next up is a Collector's Series paint sample Boosh from the 12-inch line. So you can just see some of the really wacky examples that are out there for prototypes from the Power of the Force 2 line. Here is a Power of the Force 2 painted hard copy. Hard copy are the earliest examples. They have little pegs, and they're usually made from like a ceramic. They're not like, production examples. And here's a first shot prototype next to that, painted hard copy. So painted hard copies usually go for the most money. They're very, very pricey, very rare. And this particular collector has a first shot prototype along with the hard copy example. He was just showing those off on his in a post. Next up is a Power of the Force 2 Boba Fett deluxe figure. So this is the exact same one that was available for sale for like $13.50. This one is just the figure, and it's a non-sonic welded example, and that one was $700 or best offer. And then finally, here is a Power of the Force 2 Expanded Universe Clone Emperor Palpatine that came in a bag, and this one sold for $100 plus shipping. So the price points are all over the map. It just depends on how rare they are, what stage of the prototype they are. Obviously earlier hard copy examples are going to be a lot more expensive than some of these, paint sample baggies that were kind of at the very end of the production cycle for these first shot prototypes. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at recent prices on eBay, as well as a gallery of some of the different prototypes from the Power of the Force 2 line that I found in Prototype Exchange on Facebook. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.